ready to win. They came here, showed up today. Everybody's booking their Zooms. Everybody's pushing themselves to the next level. And, just want to compliment, Alan King. Great job. I know he's closing in on regional director. Also, Elisa down in the South Carolina marketplace, in the military. She's doing it all, got kids. She's got multiple things going on. And I like what she said. I got more Zooms going to be booked. I know how this game's played. And, Dwayne also, great insight. What he said is urgency. I took a note on that. When people talk, I go, look, there's always one or two things that people are doing that's creating their success. And, it's not a lot of difference between, maybe what you're doing and what they're doing. One thing Dwayne talked about was, urgency. Look, I'm not waiting until Thursday. If they can hear about the business now, I'm getting in front of the business now. Like, I know that every night there's a training. Every night there's a way for someone to learn about our opportunity. Give them a 15-minute presentation and then invite them onto our, nightly kickoff event. And then Nikki, great job. I liked what she had said. She talked about, number one, the script. I took a note on that. So many times we bring people in and we don't practice on what they're supposed to say. How many of us got caught up in conversations that were 45 minutes long and the people never even looked at ACN because they made a decision based on a new IBO? That's almost like me giving you NBA experience, and the only thing I've ever done is watched it. Never played in it, never coached it, never got paid in it. So imagine me talking about the NBA to somebody, and I've never made $1 in the NBA. I've never, played in the NBA. I've never coached in the NBA, but I'm talking about the NBA. Or what if I had access to somebody that made money in the NBA, that played in the NBA, that coached in the NBA? How many of us agree there's total credibility there? And so that script, Nikki, I appreciate you bringing that up because, I think sometimes we bring people in and we don't take a couple minutes just to give them the necessary tools for their success. And those tools are the language, what to say, 5-minute phone calls. Don't get caught up in the question and answer. Don't get caught up in the explaining. Put an egg timer in front of you. Put 4 minutes, and when that thing buzzes, hang up on them. You're already talking too much. Bad cell phone coverage. Got to go. And then to have, Desiree, and I love the spirit that she brings. I don't know what's in the water in Houston, but I'm ready to move to Houston, Texas, because they got some great water down there. Because not only are they fired up, but they're fired up in a cooperative, competitive, everybody can win, abundance mentality. There's so much money to be made. We should all be grateful where we are, but more importantly, how many people we can take with us. And just something that had been repeated time and time again, not only from Desiree, who I love that she's not only on the charts, but she's helping her team on the charts, is that chart, you know what I mean, of going through what to do. And this is going to be a very important call because this is an RD conversation for people that are ETLs but don't see themselves ETLs. There's two types of ETLs. ETLs that see themselves ETLs and ETLs that see themselves as regional directors. See, if you see yourself as a regional director, ETL is just on the way to RD. You know what I mean? It's a great place to go through. It's no place to stop and camp, especially if you're on this call. This is not a call designed for people to be lifelong executive team leaders. This is a call designed for high performers that want to go RD and beyond. And when you get on the RD call, trust me, we're talking RVP. And when you're on the RVP call, we're talking SVP. So the point that I'm making is think of yourself as a regional director. Now, what do regional directors do? Well, there's a couple things they do. Number one, they personally recruit. That's something that I want to make sure. I love what, when Dwayne talked and Elisa talked, and some of the other people said, look, I still got my own PVZs. Like, look, I'm meeting people every day. I just got a message from a real estate broker in Chicago. I'm calling tomorrow morning. Why? I'm a senior vice president. Why? Because I'm always recruiting too. And it's so easy to recruit now because you have so many ways to get a hold of people. Does that make sense? So the benefit that you have here today is you're not worrying about having to go knock on their door like you did 15 years ago. Now you can digitally reach out to them. You can digitally say, I have something I want to run past you. Let's see how we can work together. I need 10 minutes. So the point that I'm making is, number one, if you're taking notes, personally recruiting. Every single person on here, you've got to be phase one. You got to realize people are looking, people are praying, people are interested, people are open. Second thing you got to do is when they come into your team, what are you doing when people come in? See, Mike and I could tell you from our past experience, we didn't have this chart when we started. If we would have, we would have been so much further ahead, not only production wise, but also without frustration. Does that make sense? Because sometimes we get frustrated because we're not giving people the information specifically to where they are in the business. You know, when people came in initially, I was saying things like, you got to get customers, you got to get trained, you got to have a meeting, you got to invite people together. And I was overwhelming them with all kinds of information instead of methodically moving them through, you know, what's the next conversation to have with that person? What's the next conversation to have with this person? So this is going to be on Wealth Institute. We're going to update this, but I'm going to just show you what we have now. And then, you know, we're going to update this for everybody just to reflect, you know, the new language of Zoom, the new language of CQ. But it's at Wealth Institute Inc. And I'm going to take you guys there together. We're also going to revamp our website. So that's going to happen in the next handful of days. But under training material, when you go under training material, there's going to be a tab that's going to say TC Tool. TC Tool. Okay. Now, you can take this particular tool, and this is what everybody was referencing when they were saying my chart. I follow my chart. I know where my team is according to my chart. So this is downloadable. You print this out. You get as many copies as you can. And this is going to give you just some high-level conversations with each of the boxes, because you can efficiently scale if you have a system that's scalable. Does that make sense? Like, the reason that McDonald's can scale is everybody's doing the same thing. You know what I mean? The reason that Bob's Diner can't scale is because Bob's Diner is not a systematic diner. They're not doing things specifically that can be replicated down the street. So if you take a look at this, there's a couple of things I want to point out. First thing is the name of that new IBO. Look, we're all going to be moving. We're all going to be walking around doing what we need to do. We don't have time to open up our back office, click on the person's name, get their phone number to give them a call. So as they come in, just naturally put their phone number next to their name. Second thing, IBO number. Why? Because sometimes people that are new, they don't even remember their IBO number. Like, if you go to acn.com, you can put customers in right at acn.com. So you don't need to worry about their storefront. As long as you have their IBO number, you go to acn.com and you put in their customers. I don't even necessarily refer to their storefront, because if they go to acn.com, they have to remember their IBO number. So guess what? How do you remember something? Repetition. Put it in again. Well, trust me, by the seventh customer they put in, they're going to know that IBO number front and back. See, so I like just to have that IBO number, because, again, as we're helping them get that first promotion, we don't have to worry about, hey, what was your website? Or, you know, do you know how to get to it? Everybody knows how to go to acn.com. And if everybody knows how to go to acn.com, everybody knows how to put customers in. Now, start date. Why is this important? Because we have 30 days. 30 days for them to get that first promotion, to get that first customer qualified bonus. Also, ETLs don't get paid if somebody doesn't go CQ in 30 days. RDs don't get paid if somebody doesn't go CQ in 30 days. Regional vice presidents don't get paid if somebody doesn't go CQ in 30 days. And senior vice presidents don't get paid if somebody doesn't go CQ in 30 days. So does everybody see how important? Now, I like to talk about protecting the check. What are we doing? We're protecting everybody's check. Look, if we were in the military, and I know some of you are, we've got to protect the person next to us. You know what I mean? It's all about the team, and you got to think on team levels, not on individual levels. That CQ qualification is paying that new person. It's paying that ETL. It's paying that RD. It's paying that second generation RD, that first generation RVP. And that's a big deal. So I want to protect everybody's check, because I realize that one CQ represents 5 people. Does that make sense? And I'm feeding 5 people's families with that one CQ, not just that one new person. That's the team. That's my support system. That's who I'm calling when I need help. The Lisas and the Monicas and all the other people, the Shaylas that were referenced today. That's, you know what I mean? The Harshes, like, that's who we're calling. So the point that I'm making is that when they come in, you know exactly what day they started on, and you know 30 days from that day is the last day for them to get their first promotion. Now, the welcome call. See, it says WL, welcome call. Now, the welcome call is just you giving that person a call and getting a chance to know who they are. Mike and I have found diamonds in the welcome call. People that says things like, I'm a business owner, or I've done network marketing in the past. Now, if you called somebody up and said, hey, welcome to the team, it's great to have you here, tell me a little bit about yourself, and they said, hey, I'm a real estate professional, I have 30 rental properties, I have a big networking group, how many of you would be like, that's my person, right? Like, I'm not going to let that person be out there on their own and try to figure this out. Like, immediately I know, hey, that's somebody of great value in my team. So that welcome call is almost like an interview, but at the same time, you want them to know that, look, they're not in this thing by themselves. Maybe the person that brought them in, can we agree, might not know what they're doing. The last thing I want is that new person to be calling their sponsor. Their sponsor could be horrible. Their sponsor could be quitting, right or wrong. Like, let's be realistic. I don't know what their sponsor's mindset is, so I don't want to leave it to their sponsor. I want to take charge of that. Second thing, it says training. Now, we know that every night we do training but Friday nights. So when I get the welcoming call done, then I'm like, hey, listen, did we get you to training yet? Okay, well, listen, tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, we've got an amazing training. And I'm telling you, until I got to the training, I didn't realize how big of an opportunity this was. Are you going to be able to make training tonight? Absolutely. Okay, great. And then I know that they're coming to training. So I want to, until I see them at training, I don't put a check mark next to their name. Once I see them at training, check. I gave them a welcome call, check. They came to training, check. Now it says QTT, that stands for customer qualified. Now, how do you get somebody customer qualified? Number one, you just give them a call and walk them through it. Hey, let's start mapping out how to get you, your first promotion of CQ. There's also launch parties and kickoff parties and all kinds of stuff that we're doing for your team specific. So just remember that once they get done with their training, now they're in state. I had a great call with Jeff Street and Melissa Street. They were saying how they did a kickoff party on Saturday after the 12 o'clock Saturday training. And they said it was great because people were fired up. They just sat in an hour and a half training. They were ready to do ID Seal. They were ready to get, Zoom Energy. They were ready to get, some of the services like Vivid because they were fired up. Like, they were excited. Like, let's get this thing on. And then you want to put their PBR. Now, PBR used to be private business reception. Now we've changed it to PBZ. So that'll reflect on the next update. We'll change this so you guys can actually just put in the right stuff. But just for now, I want you to understand, what that PBZ. That is so important. You book that Zoom for somebody because, again, when they're new, they're out explaining instead of inviting. They're out explaining instead of inviting. We want everybody inviting, not explaining, yes or no. So here's what I'll do is we want to get that Zoom booked. Okay, great. Now that I have the Zoom booked, the last part, it says 72-hour call. Well, that's just going to be replaced with coaching call. Coaching call just means you got to give them the coaching call. Nikki brought something up earlier. Look, if you don't practice that script with them, they're going to go into this with no language whatsoever. And here's what I find. Once this becomes painful, people quit. You know what? Because listen, you don't know how bad you sound, right? There's 4 stages of learning. The first stage is called unconscious incompetence. That's the first stage of learning. That means a new IBO is unconscious of their incompetence. They don't even know how bad they are. The second stage of learning is called conscious incompetence. That's when you say, invite me. And they go, it's ACN, it's $199, we can get paid on bills. Great, now they're conscious of their incompetence. That's not what we say. Now you're conscious of that incompetence. The third stage of learning is conscious competence. That's mean when they literally go, okay, what do I say again? All right, let me write it down. Do you look at other ways of making money? Yeah. Okay, good. You got it down. Do you look at do you look at, great. And then the final stage is a stage that a coach is in. A coach is unconscious competence. I mean, a coach can do it without thinking. A coach is already, they say if you can teach it, you possess it, you own it. So remember, when they're new, they're unconscious of how bad they are. And so when they go out into that first couple phone calls and they realize that somebody punched them in the face, guess what? They're not interested to make a second phone call. I don't know, I'm not sure, all of a sudden comes into their language as opposed to you giving them a little training call. So you want to run people through every single one of these steps. So when your feet hit the ground in the morning, you know what call to have with which person. There's no question in your mind like, hey, I got to call person number 3. They got to be on the Zoom call tonight. I got to call person number 2. They have to get their coaching call today. I got to call person number 1. I got to make sure that they're on the kickoff party tonight and get that CQ knocked out. See, these are the steps that every person needs to go through. Now, what if you run into a situation where somebody doesn't want to get a PBZ book? What do? You three-way call. Listen, that is a tool. So if you're running into a situation where somebody's not doing what you want them to do, then you get them on the Zoom with your upline. You call a regional director, you call a regional vice president, you call a senior vice president, and we enroll them in going to the next box. It's an enrollment conversation. This is not a boss employee mentality, folks. This is a team. And can we agree, as a coach, you're letting them know, look, I'm fighting for your family right now. This isn't about me making another dollar. I'm going to make $1 with or without you. This is about me helping your family. And let me get you on the phone with my coach, because I'm not going to let you fail, right? I'm going to get my coach in here and let's figure out a way to overcome whatever mental challenge they have. Can we agree? Because that's all it is, a mental challenge. That's all it. So again, let's talk about this chart, because once you get this chart down, guys, I am telling you, your business is scalable. First thing is name. Second thing is phone number, IBO number, start date. Now, welcome call. That's the how you doing? Tell me about you. Why you doing the business? What do you want to see come out of this? Oh, awesome. Well, tonight's training, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. I can't wait to see you on. I'm going to shoot you the link over. I'm looking for your name tonight. I see him on the training. Great. Now I know I got to get him into the qualification room, into the launch party, the orientation. Now I know my next step with that person. And then I want to book their Zoom and I want to give them a coaching call. And if you can do this, this is so simple. I'm telling you, they took the complicated and made it simple. You know, Henry Ford is a legend in the automotive industry, and he did not invent the car. He invented the assembly line. What are we doing here? The assembly line. We know what part of the assembly line that new IBO's on. Hey, they're on the training part of the assembly line. They're on the getting qualified. They're on the Zoom. They're on the coaching. And now you know where to take that new person, and you know what conversation to have. Everybody should have 100% qualification if they're on your chart. Why? Because you're staring at that name and number every day, yes or no. It's like, man, I got to hurry up and get this done. But if you're not looking at it, listen, if it's outside of your conscious, you're not thinking about it. And days slip by and weeks slip by, and pretty soon what could have been a great team of people now all of a sudden is not producing, not because they couldn't, because we lack the urgency. We lack the next step. We lack the, hey, what should I be doing next with this person that's coming in? And I hope this helped you today, because this is why the top reps are the top reps. Yeah. Everybody said, what's the secret? The secret is they know what to do with each person as they come in. And Mike, you had something you want to comment?
Yeah, you know, just you watch it. First of all, thank you for that training, because, you know, the people that adopt this scale. And I'll give you an example. Tanisha is on Desiree's team, right? Imagine if she's using it, Desiree's using it, right? And Lisa's using it. Imagine if somebody came into that team and they got a welcome call from each person that all said, go to the training. What do you think that person's going to do?
Go to training.
Go to the training. And as you start working as a group, I remember when we got everybody using this and everybody was using it, it's how we scaled from, you know, 20 reps to 50 reps to 100 reps to 150 to 300, because we're all doing the same thing. And everybody knows. So imagine if that same rep comes in and attended the training, but they weren't CQ'd, and everybody was just calling, talking to them about, hey, you got to be CQ'd, because they all have the same chart and they want to check that box off too. And once we all start working together, that's how this explodes. See, McDonald's didn't have the best hamburger, can we agree? But they feed 1% of the world's population because they all do the same thing. So that's just something I wanted to add, Pat, as they grow it through their organizations, what's going to happen for them. So I'll throw the call back to you.
And I love that every single person here can use this simple little chart to get your team moving in the same direction. Everybody knows what everybody else knows, so there's no surprises. We all know what the next steps are, and we all know exactly what we need to be doing with our new people coming in. Because here's what I do know. You can't do 100 IBOs a month unless you have a system that can support 100 IBOs a month. See, this is no different than a fishbowl. How many of you ever seen a little fish, a little goldfish in a fishbowl, and they're this big, right? But how many of you ever seen one of those ponds that people have in their yard, and you see the same goldfish is this big? What's the difference? Is the environment. See, if you have an environment where you can create 100 IBOs a month and you can do it, you'll do it because you have an environment that you can do it. But if your environment is like that little bowl on the desk of somebody's office, and the fish are only this big, because that's as big as that they're ever going to grow. And so I know when sometimes people get things like, well, I'm overwhelming my new IBO. Well, the reason you're overwhelming them is you're trying to get them to do everything. Look, I think a best example of this is if you took a glass bowl and you filled it full of ice, right? You got this glass bowl and you filled the glass bowl full of ice, and you took the glass bowl and you put it under a big flame, a big hot flame. What'll happen to that bowl? It'll crack, right? It'll break on the spot. But if you took that same bowl of ice, that same glass bowl of ice, and you put it under a little flame, that's the welcoming call. And then you said, hey, let's get you to the train, give them a little more flame. And now all of a sudden they see other people doing it, right? That ice starts to melt, doesn't it? And you put a little more flame, they get into that launch party, into that orientation party, and all of a sudden now it's the water's starting to boil, right? They booked their Zoom. Can we agree all of a sudden that same bowl that cracked is now a roaring bowl of boiling hot water? What was the difference? The difference is how much heat you put on it. See, sometimes we bring people in and we stick so much heat on them. How many of us done that before? And they crack. And the reason they crack is because instead of it being a 10-minute phone call, a 7-minute little move them to the next box phone call, we're spending 45 minutes on the phone with them, and it's entirely too much information for where they are in the business. Yes or no? You know what I mean? So you got to move them to the next spot. You got to move them to the next box. And if you can't get them to move to the next box, 3-way call. And guys, I think this is so important, because once you get this part down, this allows for you to create a machine. This allows for you to create, because look, recruiting is never going to get easier. There's 30 million people out of work right now. They're saying that the numbers are going to keep going up. They're saying that there's still going to be more people that are going to be looking for and open to other ways of making money. So you just got to be prepared. It's when preparation meets opportunity. See, I've watched people have 10 people come into their team, and they weren't able to take those 10 and turn them into 100 because they weren't prepared. And they said, oh my Lord, where's my regional director at? Oh my God, where's my regional vice president? Well, listen, they've got other legs and other things, yes or no. But if I had ETLs that came into this that said, I'm ready, I'm prepared, they brought those 10 in, they turned those 10 into 100, they went regional director, they went regional vice president, the Sean's of the world that's on here, 47-day regional director. Well, guess what? He was using the chart. He was efficiently and effectively moving. Now he's duplicated. He's got Eric Golden that just hit regional director that's on his team, because he also came in with the same thing we're talking about right now. Duplication. This is all duplication. So I hope this helped you guys. I know we got a lot of new ETL promotions, and I don't know how much time we're going to have to recognize them all. But if you have a new ETL promotion and you want to introduce them to the team, we'd love for you just to introduce who they are, so we can all welcome the new ETLs to the team here this morning.
I got someone.
David.